Cropping photos is not for the timid. Our rule is to crop ruthlessly, but do not change the story. The first target for the photo editor is dead space. This is space that does not add to the story told in the image. This photo is about a football player putting out maximum effort. What does the crowd to the right add to the story? It's dead space. This crop is much better in that it focuses on the player and his effort, but the real story is the emotion expressed in his face. Our second target is to focus on peak action or peak emotion. This crop might seem extreme, but trust your viewer to complete the missing parts, all of which are familiar to the football fan. The viewer will provide the closure, adding the rest of his body and the setting, while taking away clear meaning from our focus. In the good old days of newspaper journalism, we would go for the tight crop to save space, but in the brave new world of media viewed on tablets and phones, tight crops provide a big image within a frame that is easily read. Here's a photo with more dead space. Over here on the side, this crop gives you less dead space. But why not go to something that's tightly focused? If you were to go back to the original, you might question the use of the photo from the standpoint of visual interest. Nothing much is happening, but a tight crop makes this a useful photo, especially if this quarterback is a key player and you want to include him in the show. Our third target is key relationships. When you have more than one subject in the frame, zoom in on the strongest relationship between 2 or 3 of the subjects. The hard hat in the middle is a clear focus of the shot. Keep him in the center and bring in enough of his friend to establish the relationship. The whole point of a crowd shot is to capture emotion, so crop ruthlessly. Action shots are full of key relationships. The temptation is to include too many of the subjects in the frame. We might call this the Iwo Jima syndrome, the idea that we will create a tableau of bodies similar to the famous flag-raising photo. Few shots are as dramatic, where every subject adds to the emotion and effort of the scene. Again, focus on the key relationship. In this case, it's between the ball carrier and the opponent who has him in a grip. Be sure to leave a little room in front of the ball carrier for movement within the frame. Our fourth target is distraction. Number 40 in the foreground draws attention away from the key relationship, the ball carrier and his blocker. The distraction is added to by the brightness of his white jersey. This crop allows movement within the frame. We also get a slice of number 40, relying on the viewer to provide closure. Now the key relationship is clear. Over time, as a photo editor, you'll develop the habit of looking within the frame. A good action shot is often present, but you have to find it. This crop focuses on the action within the frame, and it eliminates dead space and distraction. Note that this shot has peak action. All of the players are off the ground and about to come crashing down. Once they land, the photo becomes static. How tight is too tight? This photo is obviously not tight enough. We need to focus on the peak emotion of number 25. This crop brings that emotion into focus, but it also preserves the key relationship with number 94. Is this too tight? Maybe, but the more you zoom out, the more information you add and the less focus you provide. Another photo with dead space and distraction. Let's crop it tightly. Note how the viewer can provide closure, completing the player on the ground. We don't need to see all of him to know that he's there. A tight crop equals a clear message. Our fifth target is to eliminate the mundane, repetitive, and uninteresting. Sometimes crop means don't use. This image is routine, and not having the ball in the frame makes it even more routine. But before we act too quickly, know the story. You would have to include this shot if it was of the winning field goal, or if number 18 kicked 5 field goals and this was the only decent shot you had of him. The story sometimes makes the mundane compelling. But crop ruthlessly. Another mundane shot. But what if this came after the winning touchdown and for some reason you didn't have the key action shot? You might be forced to use it. So crop ruthlessly. But as you crop, don't change the story. This image shows a group of players walking off the field after a so-so victory. It's a mundane example, but for the sake of illustration, consider how you would crop it to preserve that story. This crop produces a much different story. It might work if you wanted to zero in on number 15 for some reason, but that's not the story of the photo in its original form. This tight crop eliminates dead space and focuses on the players while preserving the story. So remember our targets. 1. Eliminate dead space. 2. Focus on peak action or peak emotion. 3. Focus on key relationships. 4. Eliminate distraction. And 5. Eliminate the mundane and the repetitive.